Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Greenskins led by Leechlord facing off against Tzeentch, who's going to be helmed by for Poland here on the Glade of the Ever Queen. Certainly one of my favorite maps, and a very fun matchup for sure. Lots of squigs, a little bit of pig action, and of course Wurzag buffing the entire army against the magic of Tzeentch and the very durable Tzeentch warriors, which are great. The magic damage actually helps against the Greenskins. Greenskins do have a fair amount of units that do have physical resist, so the magic damage on the Tzeentch roster is certainly quite pertinent. Now, for the Greenskin army, it's going to be pretty classic stuff. Orc boys with a little bit of Biggin support in the back line. Orc Biggins in this matchup, let me think about their utility. So these guys, of course, anti-large. They'll be able to cut through blues, maybe Chaos Spawn of Tzeentch, Chaos Knight, some of the bigger threats. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm curious about the Orc Biggin pick. Orc Air Boys in the back row, more Orc Biggins, and a couple Goblin Big Bosses. I kind of like this, a little bit of a goon squad. These guys, of course, could put some pressure on a Tzeentch character and be disruptive at chasing down missile pieces. Okay, maybe going after like flamers and those type of things. So two Goblin Big Bosses, and Leechlord also going to be rocking Wurzag, which is very standard. Bonewood Staff, really good for buffing up that entire army. It's pretty insane. Like if you have a big Greenskin stack and you have the Bonewood Staff going, so if you guys are a little bit newer to the game, Wurzag does have an item which every time he casts a spell, your entire army gets 12 melee attack for 17 seconds, which is crazy good. So if you're just making sure and like waiting 17 seconds in between spells, your whole army basically has plus 12 melee attack for most of the game. And then from there, you also have the wall on top of that, so your army is just going to be stacked. Yeah, so cool stuff. And for Poland here, coming in with the Kairos Man up in the sky, Scroll of Destiny, a pretty good item. It does give you power reserves, which is basically just like free Winds of Magic. It's great. And Kairos does basically just spam blue fire. Very good. You just go down the line of a formation, cast blue fire. It's honestly just better than pink fire, I'm starting to think these days. It can snipe single entities and characters, and if you go down the side of a formation, it's really good at actually doing side damage. Regrowth, also not bad. You can cast this on Kairos or any other units in your army, but most likely will be used on Kairos. Oracle Fate is nice if he gets caught. Gives him 44% ward save, and yeah, this man knows how to party. Kairos certainly a cool character. And he does have a snare. Snare is some of the best abilities in the game. Snare down Wurzag, blue fire him, charge, and he's suddenly maybe on the run. Oh, look at that. We can get like a big perch up here. It's kind of cool. But nonetheless, the two armies are going to be advancing upon one another. Nobody going to be playing too cagey. It looks like for Poland, it's going to be coming in with the Severed Claw on the side objective, Mass Tzeentch Warriors. I believe there's some Chosen mixed in, if I'm not mistaken. No Chosen in the initial army, but I'm pretty sure some Chosen do get called in. Yeah, there's some Chosen in the back there. A little bit of Wolf Rider Harass, Morgums Magi Marauders, as well as Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. If you're playing against Tzeentch, typically the big chickens are going to be included. They're just very, very good, the Lords of Change. So having some sort of, anti-air just to kind of keep them honest and not letting them fly over your army and do whatever they want, I think is always prudent. And it looks like that's what the case is going to be with these two Goblin Wolf Riders, just trying to keep Kairos honest. But the Greenskins preparing for a bit of a brawl here. We do have the Orc Boys and the Biggins on the flanks, and it looks like a flanking unit of Night Goblin Fanatics. These things are monsters for sure. If they're able to get their spinning loons like right down the line on your good quality infantry, it feels really, really bad. So we're going to have to see how they do. And of course, Classic Greenskins, the best unit on the roster in my opinion, is going to be Squig Herds. Squig Herds are so insanely cost effective for 300. I mean, great armor piercing, and yeah, they just pack a mean punch and synergize really well with the Orcish infantry. Now, looks like a little bit of Wurzag sniping going down. He does get nailed by a blue fire, which does a fair amount of HP damage against him. Nothing too serious. Tzeentch does take the objectives initially. Back objective held by Chaos Warriors. And now the brawl is going to be going down. I like the Fanatic flanking. Oh, look at the spinning loons. Oh, man, doing a fair amount of damage against those warriors. Oh, my goodness, those loons did so much. Down to half HP on those Chaos Warriors. Absolutely brutal. So the Tzeentch Warriors looks like they're just trying to dodge those spinning loons. These ones here on the other side can have a bit of a better fight. Now, Chaos Warriors obviously would dominate Orc Boys and also be able to beat Biggins most likely in straight combat. With Squigs involved, though, it becomes a bit of a different picture. So we see the Tzeentch Warriors holding down. Meanwhile, Kairos looks like he's going to be trying to line up some blue fires. You see the big chicken man just kind of going down the side here. And here comes the blue fire. So there you go, down the side, and it did okay damage. He didn't have a deep enough angle. He probably needed to be a little bit more deep set for that to be effective. But Greenskins up to about a 2,000 value lead. The Squig onslaught with Wurzag's Bonewood Staff, quite nasty. You can see Bonewood Staff active for another 4 seconds here. But Tzeentch does have decent staying power with units like the Severed Claw. So Severed Claw going to be able to grind a nice blue fire from the Chromatic Abominations, the ROR Blues. They have extra ammo and, of course, just better stats and a little bit of tricksiness. They do, of course, also have shields, which is cool. So they have a little bit of resistance against the Orc errors. Looks like some Screamers going to be called in. Screamers are pretty respectable in this matchup. Good counter to SQUIGS and also good against some of the pigs. So they get called in to stack with the Chaos Warriors. But the Wah is going to be going down in the valley. The Greenskin army looking extra pissed. That blue fire quite cost effective. That was a really, really good fire, doing a ton of damage against the SQUIGS and also against the Biggins. Greenskins continue to increase their value lead, but Tzeentch's durability is starting to play here as well as he Severed Claw grinds through the SQUIGS as well as the Orc Boys. Big Bird going to be landing on the side on the Night Goblin Fanatics, looking to maybe get a quick terror route. You got to be careful. He could get focus fired down by these Goblin Wolf Riders, but it looks like in response for Poland is going to be using the Oracle of Eternity to mitigate some of that damage. Meanwhile, Leech Lord to the back does have his 2 Goblin Big Bosses lurking in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. But it looks like they're finally going to be sent in with Wurzag to try and buffer the middle out. We'll see what they can do. Chromatic Abominations in the backfield are just basic blues. Going to be run down by some Night Goblin Squig Hoppers. A great unit, bonus versus infantry, but looks like for Poland does have a nice response with the Screamers coming in. Screamers going to be able to absolutely wreck those SQUIGS. And a downtown blue fire. That one was from just back court right there. Man, big damage. Fist of Gork being used on the Orc Boar Boys. I do like that. The fact that they get the magic damage is pretty cool. I don't even know what button I just hit there. That was weird. But it gives some magic damage, and that will be very good against any demons. It's basically the stat buff plus an additional 20% damage against any of those demonic units. So the fighting rage is on, but Greenskins have a massive value lead. 5.3 to 2.7 for Tzeentch. The Severed Claw holding on like champs. Chaos Warriors doing their thing, and now the big Chungus Chosen have arrived. Chosen are certainly going to be tough to kill, and elite infantry and starting armies can be focus fired, but I find that summoning in elite infantry in like a second wave can sometimes be good because your opponent's army is going to be a little bit tattered and might not have the concentrated tools it needs to deal with elite troopers. But taking a big macro look at the battlefield, looks like the Greenskin's going to be doing a split push here, so Leech Lord's going to be going for it. It looks like the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers and Orc Boys going to be heading towards Objective 1. And Tzeentch doesn't have too much defending here, just some beat-up Chaos Warriors, which could be quickly overwhelmed. And the Greenskins do also own Objective 3. However, I do think Objective 3 will eventually flip to Tzeentch. With the presence of the Severed Claw, the Chosen, they're eventually going to be able to push the Greenskins off that objective. But the Greenskins could also threaten the back objective of Tzeentch here. So Squig Hoppers of Leech Lord moving around the back. I like this micro, so it looks like he's circling around his opponent's formation. A really, really good blue fire there. Does tickle the pickle of these units and does a fair amount of damage. Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch shaken, but holding well. They do have 44 melee defense, certainly not bad. And Kairos going to be dropping a regrowth on them too, so using a little bit of Tzeentch healing. Not bad at all as the big chicken comes in. And it looks like he gets a terror route as some of the biggins are going to be running for the hills and the Squigs running. The big Lords of Change, very, very disruptive. Screamers also being called in, and more Screamers on this side intercept the Orc Boar Boys, getting very favorable trades and dragging them down. But I do think this objective might just flip. The Orc Boys here and the Orc Biggins are going to be coming back from that terror route in just a second. Is that a diving, a Doom Diver catapult I see? No, it's Hammer of Gork. Hammer of Gork, very good against Tzeentch. Tzeentch loves the spam armored infantry, and even if they don't, most of their infantry are pretty static and are good targets for those type of artillery pieces. So Tzeentch does finally get this objective back. The Blues and the Chaos Warriors, Severed Claw and company, and Chosen able to grind back the very tattered Greenskin units. Still a big value lead for Poland here, but it looks like Tzeentch is kind of getting that momentum shift. And a lot of the damage that Tzeentch does take can, of course, be regenerated on their shields, their Protoss shields. Remember the days when the Protoss shields like recharged like almost instantly? Those were some dark times, man. It's kind of interesting. I think every Chaos faction, except Nurgle and Khorne, has had their moment of being like egregiously OP. Khorne had some time where their Fleshhounds in the early meta of Warhammer 3, before the Immortal Empires, their Fleshhounds are pretty dominant, but yeah, it's basically just Nurgle. I think all the demon factions have been OP at one point. They're now all actually on the lower end of the spectrum. But yeah, I would say maybe Nurgle is the only one who's never really had a moment of being like oppressive. So back objective held by the Greenskins, actually taken. Nice play there by Leech Lord, but Tzeentch is probably going to be able to get it back. The Marauder Horsemen will do some nice skirmishing. It looks like there's going to be some blue fire coming in to support, and Kairos is going to get a big terror route. The Greenskin army here a little bit unsupported, doesn't have any big leadership cadre there giving them the goods. So Kairos might be able to kind of come in and cause some havoc. More Orc Boar Boy Biggins moving, but they're also going to be vulnerable against Screamers if Screamers do get called in. And yeah, Tzeentch has got a nice stranglehold on this. Regrowth going down and Chosen, certainly a very, very good call. They'll be able to absorb quite a bit of the ammunition. Rusty Air is doing some nice DPS. Looks like they're probably about 800 value. I would guess, yeah, 775. But yeah, they're about to run out of ammo. So those Chosen and those Severed Claw, man, Severed Claw are just going deep. I mean, whatever they fight, and they're just hands down the best unit on the Tzeentch roster, as well as the Warriors of Chaos roster. Extremely tough to kill. Many of the traditional modalities for taking down infantry don't work against them because of their low model count and their durability. And the high HP per model makes them really, really nice targets for healing from like Festus or Kairos in this case. And they do break back the Goblin Big Boss, while the Chosen just stand and fight. And yeah, they're having a bit of a hard fight. But honestly, Orc Biggins, are not going to go well until the Orc Biggins don't have the best AP values, and Severed Claw and Kairos probably going to be able to kind of hold that one down. So Tzeentch does manage to wrestle their objective back. Greenskins coming in for a second wave, and the Pigs getting a nice charge. For Poland is going to be retreating here, calling in the Screamers to countercharge into the Orc Boars, which should be pretty favorable for them. Granted, the Greenskins do have more of an infantry presence. We have 2 units of Orc Biggins, which of course are pretty savvy fighters here, and also not bad against Screamers. So maybe that's some of the tech, right? You're dealing with a lot of Screamers, so maybe the anti-large is somewhat of a call-in to deal with those as they do appear across the battlefield. More Screamer call-ins going to be countering these Orc Biggins and making this a very favorable trade for Tzeentch. We do see Tzeentch down by about 3,000 value, but I can't help but think with the couple regrowths that we've seen, the value lift difference is like actually really close. And this is going to be a pretty powerful army ability. We have a full health unit of Biggins here, which is about to get karate chopped. This is going to be the Tzeentch tier 3 army ability. And Wurzag also getting pressured by Kairos. Kairos not an amazing fighter, but also not terrible. Was he using Gaze of Fate there? Okay, Tzeentch ability going down, bringing those Orc Biggins from about full health down to, I would wager, about 25% before that's done. It looks like Wurzag, the Great Green Prophet, is going to be running for the hills as Kairos hunts, and Blue Fire going to be going down. And that's one of the keys for dealing with the Wurzag builds, is if you can take down Wurzag, oftentimes the Greenskins will fold like a piece of paper because they don't like having negative 16 leadership in all their very low leadership units. Here we see the Screamers, like I said, countering the Orc Boars on this objective. The Greenskins pressuring it once again. And it looks like Leechlord might be able to flip this one with his presence of Biggins. Tzeentch trying to get some units up there. They do have the Blues and another wave of Blues coming. The Blue Fire, really good here. Orc Biggins only have 50 armor, and the firepower of the Blues is actually quite good here. I think Blues are just better than Pinks. Greenskins are super good at diving range units. So if they're going to be diving your ranged, it might as well be like a kind of a pseudo melee infantry unit in the Blues, which are, of course, the melee version of those units. Squig Hopper's coming back. Nice focus fire here as the Screamers fight tooth and nail against the Squig herd. Side objective actually looking like it could go to the Greenskins. Looking a little bit precarious for Tzeentch, and if Tzeentch gets triple capped here, man, it is going to be very, very tough to come back. Severed Claw and Chosen still holding it down. The Severed Claw, of course, the big saving grace. Looks like for Poland has his eyes set on Wurzag here. Wurzag at about half health. Kairos just eyeing him with his, I don't know how many eyes he has, probably several hundred. The Tzeentch monsters, of course, very Lovecraftian. They got eyes everywhere, very spooky stuff. Screamers going after the Squig herds. In the backfield, we do, of course, see the Blues getting punted by the Pigs. But Orc Boar Biggins are actually god-awful against infantry. They have very low melee attack. I believe their base melee attack without chevrons is 22. Where they really shine, of course, is against anything big, because they have a substantial bonus for large of 12, and that compensates for their low melee attack, which is, I think, a nice way to balance these type of units. So Chosen of Tzeentch being called in, and it looks like for Poland is going to be going for kind of more of a late game investment. When you call in elite infantry in like the mid game when you're behind like this, it's kind of like a decision rather than desperately swarming to be like, okay, I'm going to start planning for a long grind and just barely like outcapping my opponent in the later stages of the game when there's not much time left. Severed Claw and Kairos there, a nasty combo. The Halberds are going to counter anything big, and Kairos himself is going to be getting good terror routes here. Wurzag looking to be in a little bit of danger since he's kind of close to the Severed Claw here. He could be going down. Fanatics nearby. Granted, their Fanatics don't do too much damage against the old Severed Claw. More Squigs being sent in, and Tzeentch finally wrestles their back objective. So Tzeentch kind of looking like they could do a bit of a lane push here. Objective 1 and Objective 2 looking a little bit vulnerable with the Screamers and the prevalence of Blues kind of teaming up. We see Squigs and more Orc Boys coming in, but I honestly think Tzeentch has some play on Objective 2 as long as they don't get crumbled over here. So Severed Claw once again putting Tzeentch on their back. Regrowth going down on them is so good. They still have 16 models, so their fighting capacity is pretty insane. I mean, Greenskins do have some things that would absolutely wreck Severed Claw, but they're not part of the meta, right? Like, if you got a Black Orc unit, like, I almost think, like, if we saw Black Orcs here, they could have been really good against this type of an army. Like, Black Orcs will crush Severed Claw, or at least trade very cost-effectively into them. And here, Kairos battling the Orc Boys, which are trying to hunt him. It makes sense, but these are actually just the straight-up armor-piercing Orc Boys, but they're going to get wrecked. Kairos is going to karate chop them, and he's got the anti-large support. Tzeentch pushing on the other side as well. Currently looking at Leechlord, he is up on points about 1061 to 874, so relatively close. So Blue Horror's going to be cleaning up the back objective. What call-ins do we have? Tzeentch, I believe their Chosen should be arriving shortly, so the Chosen of Tzeentch have emerged from the tree line, and Tzeentch is still in a position where if they get a double cap relatively soon, they would be able to win on points, but it's getting a little bit dicey here. Wurzag getting pushed back. He does survive, so nice micro there by Leechlord for Poland. Looks like he had maybe used the Blue Fire here. Severed Claw have not lost any models yet. They're about to be healing cap. Squig herds aren't bad against Severed Claw if they have Orc Boys under them. But man, these Screamers all game, like every time I look, it looks like For Poland is getting beautiful engagements with these Screamers. He's just like finding large targets and intercepting them before they can really get good value. And Tzeentch has closed the value gap to about 2,000, and with their healing coming into play from Kairos and their shield regeneration, honestly, Tzeentch is most likely ahead at this time. The shields have been coming back. They, of course, have had several regrowths on Severed Claw and Chosen units, which have been money. And if Wurzag starts to rat off the battlefield, that could really, really just be the end here. So negative 40 leadership, he gets popped right in the face by that beautiful, beautiful snipe from Kairos there. And it looks like the Tzeentch army ability going to be coming down. Oh, what a nice play there. He uses Gaze of Fate on the freshly summoned, 1,000 gold unit. And then the Tzeentch army ability is going to be coming in just absolutely nuking them. That was so clutch. In tandem with pushing Wurzag off the battlefield, ladies and gentlemen, so good. Man, I love good Tzeentch plays. That is just some clean stuff. So back objective 3 taken, and it looks like objective 2 has been taken. And in just a moment, I will tell you if Tzeentch will have won. Yeah, so Tzeentch, if they reach 1,000 before they reach 1250, then Tzeentch wins on 2 objectives. So as it currently stands, Tzeentch is going to be winning on just 2 objectives. I don't know if the players know that. Oftentimes, in the heat of the moment, it's hard to do the calculations. But in this case, Wurzag's going to get chased off, which is going to lower the base leadership. So look at this. You see how they 70 leadership right now? They're chilling. But when Wurzag goes off the battlefield, let's do a little bit of fast forwarding here. So Wurzag gets taken out and chased off the battlefield. Yes. So now we can go to the biggins, and suddenly they're like, oh, negative 16 because my Lord fled. That is a huge difference, right? So the Orcs know they have to get the objective. Leech Lord, of course, one of our top players. He's won many tournaments. Very good. So he knows he needs this objective and is going to be diving for it. But I think Tzeentch is just prepared. We see a lot of blue fire coming in. And man, the blues this game have been really good. I'm kind of taking notes. I want to add Tzeentch to my repertoire. They seem fun as hell to play. But they are able to melt those Orc biggins. And back here we get the blues continuing to put Daka downtown. Big Kairos flying in, intercepting the Squig Hoppers with the Screamers. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to be GG. The Greenskin advance there just gets folded like an absolute piece of paper. And on the side, we see a little bit of a side push here, going desperately for objectives. But the Terror Route's coming in from the Big Chicken, the Severed Claw anchoring. It looks like Tzeentch, as a matter of fact, is going to be able to get that triple cap. For Poland passes him on points right now anyway, so he doesn't need the triple cap, but he does get it. And ladies and gentlemen, what a great game. Holy shit, that was like super back and forth. Like in the beginning, boom, Greenskins up to a 3,000 value lead. Tzeentch is looking to be on the back foot, but then Tzeentch gets it back. Then Greenskins gets some nice plays, but then For Poland gets just an excellent Gaze of Fate with a Firestorm at the end. It was just great stuff. I love that game. So Big Man, 2,600 value, Severed Claw, 2,000, just hands down the best unit. The Blue Fire play was really good, but the Screamer play was just awesome. Yeah, see, we caught on to that. 1,400, 900 here, 11, and 725. Really good value there. Taking some notes, man. I'm stealing some of these builds. It was a close one, honestly. I think that like maybe a Black Orc could be good. Granted, they're slightly vulnerable to being focus fired, but maybe. I think a Black Orc like just laser focused on the Severed Claw maybe could be good. I actually don't know who would win in a straight up fight. So let's actually go test that real quick. Well played to these players, and we'll see in the test in just a second. All right, so here we are in the test. We're going to be testing out Wurzag and his Black Orcs versus the Severed Claw, and let's see how this goes. It's going to be a little bit hard. I'm playing against an AI, and they often disrupt the test, so it's pretty obnoxious, but we're just going to kind of get a loose idea. And also, I wanted to give a big shout out to Leech Lord for sending in this replay. It was great. Oftentimes players, it's very rare that players send in their losses, right? And the fact that Leech Lord did that, kudos to him. What a good chap. So let's go ahead and push up here, and we're going to use Wurzag to try and like isolate this like little Tzeentch character on the side. So we'll pop this, and hopefully the Black Orcs can get a nice engagement there. So yes, go fight. Good. Come on, AI, give it to us. Okay, more or less, it's about as good as it's going to get. So we're going to buff Wurzag as if we were doing like Bonewood staff testing. And yeah, I'm curious how this one's going to go. So you can see Wurzag is winning his fight. Buffs are going down. Black Orcs putting a bit of a dent, but yeah, Severed Claw are just a crazy good unit, right? I mean, we might get like some army losses here, but overall with the buffs, so that's another couple seconds. So let's just go ahead and pop a Brain Buster to make sure that the Bonewood staffs are like constant. And then of course there would be a Wah. And so yeah, this is Tzeentch could use a little bit of magic support, but yeah, it seems with like the very standard like style of this build, I'm not even buffing the Black Orcs. They are able to crush the Severed Claw, not decisively, and without the magic Bonewood and Wah support, they would probably actually lose that, but that doesn't seem terrible. It's very rare you see Severed Claw actually take damage. So maybe like mixing in a Black Orc or two in reserve, I don't know. Tzeentch is gonna like, the problem is the Tzeentch player is gonna like see that, and they're just gonna be full chub. They're gonna be like, oh, all my blue fires are going right there. That's the only issue I see Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. A little bit of fun stuff. GG. See you guys next time. And again, big shout out to Leech Lord for sending a loss. Nobody does that. So, man, great dude. And that's it for today. Take care.